Thank you, Eve, for the nice words and the nice introduction. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shrestha Sharma from TNO Netherlands, working as a scientist integrator. And TNO is a Dutch government research organization for applying scientific knowledge, where we apply knowledge in different sectors, including health, energy domain, health, energy, industrial, and even the environment domain. And I work on different projects related to digital twinning across various domains. Today I'm very excited to give a talk on the BioDT, which is a biodiversity digital twin project, and it's funded by the Horizon EU program. And our aim is to come up with a prototype digital twinning of biodiversity within this project, but also it also supports the big initiatives like European Green Deal, biodiversity strategy for 2030, and so on. But it also, with this platform, with this project, we also want to make sure that we create a platform that supports interdisciplinary collaboration and data interoperability. And BioDT integrates advanced technologies with ecological data to provide a dynamic and interactive representation of biodiversity. This will help scientists, researchers, and policymakers make informed decisions to protect our environment. I think I need this. Sorry. Yes. And as we see, as I say, it's a big project, Horizon EU project, where we have almost 22 partners from different countries within Europe. We have partners from Denmark, Sweden, Estonia, Germany, Austria, and Netherlands, and so on. And the main aim of this project is to support research infrastructures for biodiversity. It's an ambitious project that integrates digital twinning technology to enhance our understanding of biodiversity, and also make sure that we, even after this project ends, we use this initiatives and the developments that are developed in this project also in the similar kind of projects. It aims to drive forward both foundational science and practical use cases. This project is a collaborative effort leveraging expertise and resources from across Europe to groundbreaking results in the biodiversity. It's also a project which is also contributing towards two big initiatives like Destiny Earth, whose main aim is to create a digital twin of the Earth. And at the end of this project, this project could also become one of the flagships of the Destiny Earth project. And we have the project aims to drive both science and the use cases, and that's why it has a great impact on researchers, industry actors, policymakers, senior and society and senior citizen scientists. The main goal of this BioDT project is also is to make a first prototype typical digital twin for biodiversity, connecting this twin to other big European initiatives that are going on now, and also to create a platform that supports interdisciplinary collaboration. By achieving these goals, we hope to enable new insights and solutions for biodiversity, conservation, and management. And then you can also see that most of the big European partners are also interested in this. For example, you see different logos: European Open Science Cloud, ECMWF. And next slide is about the partners involved within this project, and it's supported by a diverse consortium of partners from multiple countries. We have CSC, which is the coordinator of Finland, which is the whole project coordinator here. And we have other companies like Trust IT Services, but also University of Helsinki, University of Oslo, and also the University of Tartu. there, but within this consortium we also have the research infrastructures like LifeWatch, ERIC, and the GBIF partners. These collaborated networks bring together a wide range of expertise, and from ecological research to advanced computing, ensuring that we can address the complex challenges of biodiversity, modeling. And when it comes to talking about biodiversity, it also comes to talking about, because biodiversity is a big area, we have one of the challenges that we have data. That's a good thing, but we have a lot of dynamic and diverse data. And one of the big challenges is that data is too diverse and it's too dynamic. And if you can also see here that we have data with the ecological habitat map, data about species observations, species traits, and the data about species DNA sampling, but also for the policymakers, we have the data about the management strategies, and for finding the insights on the climate, we have the data on potential effects of climate change. And two biggest challenge after having all this data is how to integrate those data, but also to standardize and make sure that in terms of collection, we do have the standardization and integration of these data. Our aim is to overcome these challenges to create a cohesive and comprehensive digital twin. And now let's just take a step back, because what is a digital twin? In simple terms, it's a virtual replica of the physical world. And what it means in biodiversity, it means that what we are trying to address here, that we have in real world, we have the biodiversity, and we are trying to now monitor it and analyze it in the virtual space. And how we can do it, it could be a small example that we transfer the data from the physical world to the virtual space, and for that we need the sensor data, but also then we need, you see the arrow, a lot of information processes and communication between the physical world and the virtual space to make the digital twin, which can be a prototype of within this BioDT. And digital twin, the composition of a digital twin includes regularly updated data, robust model, and data analysis pipelines, and seamless connections and integrations to various applications. These components work together to ensure that the digital twins are not only accurate, but also capable of providing actionable insights into real time. And as we talk about both here digital twin and biodiversity, when I'm talking about more on the digital twinning part, it means different in different domains. For example, it would be a different kind of digital twin working with industries, and a different kind of digital twin working with biodiversity. For example, if we want to work on a digital twin related to smart industry, we would focus on the operational and the performance of the industrial digital twin. That will mainly focus on the product design and the operation of machinery. But when it comes to talking about the digital twinning of biodiversity, it means that you have to mimic the behavior of nature in the virtual space, and also meet the requirements of different BioDT use cases. And we do have a lot of use cases in BioDT, and that I will talk about in the upcoming slides. But that will also help us contribute towards the European Commission goal of devising a full DT of the Earth. And the objectives of BioDT. So within the whole project, we have mainly three objectives. The first is to build and deploy a pre-operational digital twin, ensure data interoperability across different platforms, and integrate seamlessly and major initiatives like Destiny Earth. By doing so, we aim to create a comprehensive tool that can be used by researchers, policymakers, stakeholders, and to make informed decisions on the climate change and on the biodiversity. And what is the approach that we are taking within this biodiversity project is that approach leverages advanced models for simulation and prediction, focusing on practical use cases. And we do have almost 9 use cases within this BioDT project. And by applying these models to real-world scenarios such as species response and habitat dynamics, we can gain valuable insights into how biodiversity evolves and interacts with various environmental factors. And how do we do this is we exploit the LUMI supercomputer. In the previous presentations also LUMI was mentioned, which is one of the most one of the third largest supercomputer of the world. And what we also try to make sure that we employ fair data and models within our digital infrastructure. So we have the standards for the data and models. We make sure that our data is findable, accessible, interoperable, and reliable. But then also to employ predictive modeling and AI solutions, facilitate evidence-based solutions for biodiversity protection and restoration, and also response to big key EU international initiatives going on biodiversity, and make sure that we connect with them. Now let's also a bit reflect on the different types of BioDT prototype digital twins. So when this project started, we also had a workshop in Finland where we gave the floor to different use cases and selected almost 9 use cases within this project. And after these use cases were selected, these use cases were also combined together to come up with the prototype digital twins. So one prototype digital twin will have similar use cases within that, and that's why we have the group of 4 main groups of BioDT prototype digital twin, and each of these use cases will for now work on their own, developing their own digital twin towards as the main goal of the project. And maybe in the future projects we will try to integrate this digital twins, and that's how it's also connected to contributing to one digital twin at the end. And the 4 prototype digital twins are: first is the species response to environmental change, which talks about the biodiversity dynamics and ecosystem services. And the second is about genetically detected biodiversity, which is crop wild relatives and genetic resources for food security. And DNA detected biodiversity for poorly known habitats. The third talks about the dynamics and threats from and for species of policy concern, like invasive species, which focuses on the alien species. And the species, fourth, the last is about the species interactions with each other and also with humans. And it has 2 use cases within it, which is one is the pollinators, which is also, which talks about the honeybee dynamics, and the next is the disease outbreaks. And I'll talk a bit more on these use cases and let you know more what these use cases are about and what their focus areas are in the upcoming slides. Let's talk about the first of the PDT group, that's species response to environmental change. And it's about biodiversity dynamics and how are we addressing this within this BioDT project. The first is the grassland biodiversity dynamics, which aims to create, investigate on how different climate change scenarios and change in different soil conditions are also affecting the management regime. So also they do the analysis on the climate change, on the soil conditions, but then also trying to address this, how they are impacting the policymakers and the management regimes, and how they can intertwine them together to make an impact and solve the biodiversity challenges. The second, and this use case comes from Germany for now, and they wanted to scale it up within the whole of Europe. The next use case is also is about forest bird biodiversity dynamics. This use case comes from the University of Finland, and they investigate on different forest management strategies and climate change scenarios that affect forest and biodiversity. So they are dealing with the forest management ecosystem and trying to make a digital twin of the forest management ecosystem within this use case. And the third is about the real-time bird monitoring with citizen science data. This use case also comes from the University of Finland, and and they even have developed a mobile app with this use case where they ask the people to go and record the bird sounds on the mobile app, and with the research of their data, of this data, they are collecting the data, but also tracking the migration pattern of bird migration with this, because due to the change in shifts in the climate, there are also change in the shifts of the migration of birds, and also it helps to identify the rare species of birds, which is quite interesting. And to know more about these use case, you can also find a link on the biodiversity website. There's a whole page on these use cases where you can see what they're working on, or we can discuss this offline. The next is also the ecosystem services, which is a use case from the UK. They are also wanting to make a biodiversity digital twin, but also boosting the citizen science. And they have this Decide tool through which they want to update more towards advanced digital platform. And they are doing digital twin prioritization, user-defined recreation preferences that are linked to biodiversity occurrence and locations with sparse biodiversity data that could be used by various stakeholders and researchers. The third is also, the next PDT is about genetically detected biodiversity. Genetically detected biodiversity has two use cases within this project, and it's about the DNA detected biodiversity for poorly known habitats, which aim is to help biodiversity researchers and monitoring initiatives with selecting localities, areas for further sampling according to selected criteria when targeting cryptic biodiversity with eDNA meta-barcoding methods. Its aim is to also improve computation time of the existing pipelines and the modeling that they have with exploiting LUMI within this use case. Then the next use case is about crop wild relatives and genetic resources for food security, whose aim is to develop a prototype that enables the search for CWI and traditional cultivars that can contribute to investigate domesticated crops to enhance their nutritional values, resilience to diseases, and changing environments. And then the third PDT group is about species interactions with each other and with humans. And they have two use cases. One is the pollinators. Pollinators is also one of the most advanced use cases within this BioDP project. They have even now developed an operational twin for this project, and you can also see about this and even see how advanced the twin they have developed by going to the biodiversity website. This use case mainly also comes from Germany, only focused on Germany for now, but they also wanted to scale it up to most of the Europe. And it talks about the honeybee modeling, so how to investigate different spatial land use patterns, weather, beekeeping practices, and climate change scenarios that affect the vitality and production of the honeybees. The next use case is about the disease outbreaks, which is focuses on how to take actions on informed data-driven upper responses to manage spread of wildlife diseases, and it mainly focuses on the African swine fever modeling. And the last is also about the invasive species, which is a PDT group on dynamics and threats from and for species for policy concern. This use case mainly focuses on the alien species, and biodiversity faces numerous threats, including invasive species and changing policies. Our digital twin helps us understand these dynamics and develop strategies to mitigate negative impacts. By simulating various scenarios, we can better prepare and respond to this challenges, and as you see that we have talked about almost 9 use cases, and they are so much different to each other, and the challenge is also to how to make them together, because the Destiny Earth aim is to make a full DT of the Earth, and biodiversity for now is focusing on making these use cases ready to come up with their first prototype digital twins. And apart from the use cases, we also have the research infrastructures that give us the valuable data. And we have 4 different research infrastructures involved within this project that we rely on: are GBIF, Alter, LifeWatch, ERIC, and DISCO. These organizations provide invaluable data that support our digital twins, but also ensure that our models are based on comprehensive and accurate information. And after talking a bit about the BioDT goals, the aims of the project, the objectives, about the different use cases involved in the project, the different research infrastructures, what is one of the main key concept on the BioDT project is also to exploit LUMI supercomputer, and we do need LUMI supercomputer as it's one of the fastest in the world, but it's also because of its high computational power that it provides, and it has a computing power equal to the capacity of 1.5 million modern laptops. But its immense computing power allow us to run complex simulations and processes large data sets very quickly and efficiently. This capability is very essential for the success of a digital twin, because what we are trying to do with LUMI is to quantify the large data sets available and process them and model them and simulate them by generating better predictive analysis, and so that we can also find more good insights on the climate changes, on the biodiversity impacts on the Earth. And how LUMI is being used in BioDT. When the project started, the project started around in the year 2022, and then we have all these use cases which have their modeling and their good ideas, which are mostly on their laptops, and now we are trying to make them scalable, and most of the use cases are already exploiting LUMI and are already on the cloud and web services and high performance computing. So LUMI would be taking care of the high performance computing and the cloud and web services, but at the other end, it's also we are trying to make sure that the end users are able to, from their laptop, could use this digital twinning while the rest is being arranged on the back end through LUMI by working with the cloud, so integrating the cloud and web services and the high performance computing calculations. So while working on this project, we also have to focus on a lot of on the architecture overview, because we want to make sure that the architecture we built is robust and is a flexible framework that can integrate with broader digital infrastructure. This vision ensures that our digital twins are scalable, interoperable, and also capable of supporting a wide range of applications and users, because we do want to make the architecture as general and as flexible as possible, so that it can also be linked to key initiatives that are going on. For example, it could become a flagship of the Destiny Earth program, but also we have another similar projects running, that's BioFlow and other projects, so they can use these components right away from this project rather than reinventing the wheel on the other projects. And what are the key considerations that we took is to make sure that the environment is distributed and across multiple sites, but also ensure the authentication and authorization for security of this, but also the infrastructure should have the capability to run simulations, data processing, visualization on HPC and cloud resources. And we also trying to make sure that every model and data are being standardized to the FAIR principles. So they will be also connected to FAIR digital objects and integrate them within the BioDT FAIR digital objects. by while ensuring the traceability and logging for the DTs and workflows. So this is one of the most complex architecture that we came across in BioDT. I'm not gonna dive and explain all the details about this architecture, but what I would like to highlight is that there are some of the main layers that are being developed in this project. For example, there's a BioDT public FTO objects, but also BioDT application hosting, and you can see that it's linked to the anonymous user. And what we are trying to make sure that the architecture is made in a way that the end users are able to access the UI of the BioDT digital twin, and technically it's also based on different layers. It has the BioDT APIs and portals, documented specialized interfaces like for Docker registries, workflows, but also the a high-performance layer which focuses on the connecting cloud and the high-performance computing. And in this slide, I will also like to talk about what the Destiny Earth initiative is. Destiny Earth initiative focuses on creating a highly accurate digital model of Earth, which is Europe's cutting-edge computing to monitor the effects of natural and human activity. This whole program is spanned during this 7 years project, and to monitor the effects of natural and human activity of the planet. It's jointly implemented by 3 interested entities: ESA, which is a European Space Agency; ECMWF, which is European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast; and the EUMETSAT, which is a European Organization for the Exploration of Meteorological Sites. And after talking about more of the details of the BioDT technical architecture, use cases, prototypes, research infrastructures, its aim, and also a bit more on the big initiatives linked to BioDT, would also reflect what are the target groups for the BioDT. It serves as a wide range of target groups, including the researchers, stakeholders, policymakers, industrial actors, and also the civil society. Each of these groups benefits from the insights and tools provided by our digital twins, whether it's for scientific research, policy making, industrial applications, or for public awareness. And how these stakeholders can have the benefits. So they do, and what the researchers can do is they can observe most changes in biodiversity, the big shifts that are happening in the climate, and by observing and analyzing those changes, they can do better predictive modeling and forecasting, and could estimate what could happen in the future more. So that is how the researchers could be benefit from this from the projects like this. But also then the biodiversity research infrastructures would be able to improve their services, and policymakers then can make the better informed decisions, because now they have the good quality data, but also there's the initiatives are going on making the modeling approaches better, but also connected through different prototypes, then better respond to societal and key initiatives, because they are also aware what are the human activity changes happening due to the better quality of data. But with this, also industrial actors, including SMEs, will be able to exploit BioDT for business solutions in sectors related to biodiversity, such as agri-food, tourism, and healthcare. And citizen scientists and the broader society also stands to benefit from BioDT by engaging the public in data collection and analysis process. We boost citizen science efforts and foster a deeper understanding of biodiversity. This also increases the literacy within the community and helps build a more informed and engaged community. I already cited some examples. For example, 2 of the use cases, the forest and bird use cases, and the culture nature ecosystem services are mainly focusing on the citizen scientists, giving them the opportunity to also record the data and make them informed about the biodiversity and the challenges, so that we have a more informed community, and that's how we can more progress towards the advancement of in the development of biodiversity. So also let's reflect on, there are also some challenges that we face in the biodiversity, because now we are in the mid of the project, more than mid of the project. The project will end in the year 2025 May, so we have 1 year left. So we also have some lessons learned, but we also have some challenges that we are facing. There are also some challenges that we would like to address here, because it's also good to address those challenges, because these challenges can be similar that the other initiatives that are running could face, but also could be addressed in the future for the upcoming projects. And one of the technical challenges are related to how to come up with the data formats, how to select on the right data formats and make it more generalizable in the sense that they can be reused, because we do want the knowledge that's being developed within this project to be reused again in other initiatives, but also how to fix, how to make it specific on the vocabularies that we are using. For example, digital twinning is a very famous word too in this world, and different organizations have different terms of digital twinning. There is the digital twin application, digital twin life cycle, digital twin, so on. So what is the definition that we should use within this project, but also that aligns with the other initiatives that are matching, so that we make it more generic and specific, and also how to fix on the metadata. But it's also true that there are also very big and good advanced organizations that can deal with this technical challenges. But when it comes to societal challenges, there is even a big challenge because of interoperability, because even though researchers are well educated in their fields, many times they lack training or access to information related to the best practices in the research data management. Communication or lack of communication among RIs is another challenge, as it can prevent the fragmentation of the RI landscape. So we want to make sure that we are also able to communicate and transfer knowledge within the different research infrastructures, because it is with them that we are getting the access to this large variety of big data, and we solve those challenges. And after talking about more on some social and technical challenges, there are also some fewly selected challenges that we derive from the BioDT project, with also some suggestions that we think, if they are addressed, could also be important for the future projects, and it could be very useful in the future. For example, the first challenge is about the scalability and alignment in expanding digital twin landscapes. So what we need is the need for scalable interfaces, so for both technical, small, well-defined services and organizations, reducing alignment time. And what do we need more is to establish of a board, so who can set priorities on the managing product development, because like I said, also mentioned before, what we like to do within this project, that even after this project ends, we make sure that the knowledge is retained and the components that are being developed are reused within the different projects and within the outside world. So with this, there should be also some guidelines on the guidance and shared vision between different key EU initiatives, but also different similar projects that are running around that are working on this BioDT and related topics. And the next challenge is about balancing generic approaches with specific needs. So how can we balance the approaches with the specific needs that we do need multiple levels of interoperability, so from model design and data standards to service interfaces and quality levels. And we also need the most important key tips that we would like to address is that how do we couple this digital twin applications, because once each use case have their own prototype digital twin, we would also like to integrate them to come up with one digital twin. And how do we make sure that it happens, and what are the guidelines to what is the next step towards the collaborative digital twin, and requires precise definitions of data formats, quality, and exchange mechanism, but also keeping in mind that everything is done sustainably and for sustainable operation. And the last is about the user-centric approach for users combining data from multiple digital twins, and agile approach should be based on generic design principles is necessary to accommodate diversity and growth in user communities. And as I already indicated in the previous slide, that after these use cases within the BioDT have their own prototype digital twinnings, the next step is to work for a collaborative digital twin. And as I'm from TNO, which is a research organization, we are mainly focusing on digital twinning topics, but also applying it in different domains. One of the key technology that we are working and still a work in progress in identifying and researching on is to build an assessment tech, which is a tech tool which would solve the systematic approach to collaborate on digital twin applications. So it could act as a self-customized tool and tailored according to different organizations working on it, but help them on guide and assessing what are the steps they can do and what are the key requirements and elicitation that they can consider while collaborating with the next digital twin, and still make sure that the knowledge and the information is shared between them, and realize other challenges that can have when we want to collaborate with more than one digital twin. So it basically, the key aspects are how to keep each other informed on knowledge and also align together while maintaining the standards, but also the privacy and security of those organizations. In the last slide is about, like I already said before, we are working on this BioDT, but we are STNO, but we also have similar projects on digital twinning in energy, in climate, and we wrote a couple of proposals in the water sector where we would be focusing on digital twinning for oceans, and the other project we already are part of is BioFlow, which is also focused on the digital twinning for water. So we would like to expand knowledge, and this is a slide that's just so that we are interested in this, and if you are also interested, we can take discussions offline for further collaborations. And that's it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Shrestha. That was a very captivating and inspiring talk, and I want to ask from audience, do you want to ask some questions?
Yes.
Yeah. First is Abdurrahman.
Two questions.
Yes.
One is a conceptual type of question, because I have been doing research for a long time in simulation, and where we had the normal simulation and then distributed simulations and then event-based simulations, and then came this digital twin thing.
Yeah.
And they say it is not a simulation, but it's more of an advanced thing because you get real-time data. But to my understanding, it is a simulation, I would say. So the first conceptual question, how do you see the actual, let's say, significant difference between digital twins and simulations? This is the first. Yeah.
Okay.
And the follow-up question is, as you know, there are different types of digital twins. It depends on the size. So, for example, you have the component type, and then you have the what is called asset type of twins, where you connect components, and then you have the unit or system type of digital twins, where you get inputs from these assets, and then at the end you have the process one, where you have the like functioning system. So the types of digital twins that you are working with, biodiversity, which stage is it?
I think they would be mostly on the operational digital twin, to answer your second question. So we are developing a digital twin which would be a more onto the advanced stage. Like you said, it starts with the asset. So like first you have something just running on your local, then you scale it that it's Dockerized, but then you scale it more that's in the web and cloud services. But now at the end it should be an interactive twin where you don't need anything. You can just deploy it into the Lumi supercomputer and start to interact with it. So that's the level of digital twinning that we are developing in this biodiversity project. And to answer your first question, that simulations and digital twinning and what's the difference? So okay, simulations are a part of digital twinning, but digital twinning also means to integrate all those components with real life streaming data, which is not necessarily means that what simulations you are doing is exactly same, but it should be managed in a way that all those components related to data, modeling, workflows, registry, APIs, all are connected together and are processed with the real-life streaming data. If I answered that correct. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, Thomas.
Thanks for a very comprehensive overview, really informative. Also two questions. First one more technical. Out of the Lumi G and Lumi C cases in your diagram, can you tell what has been done to date on these two platforms? And the second is conceptual, as you said, that the challenge will be how you combine all these different use cases so that you get a comprehensive and uniform view on the BioDT. So what's the plan for that?
Yeah, so I didn't, if you could repeat your first question, but...
One, two. Yes, could you give example of, is there any of these use cases has already done something on Lumi G or Lumi C?
I cannot answer if they have done something on Lumi G or Lumi C, but I know that one of the most advanced use cases from the BioDT that you can follow is pollinators, and they are already using Lumi. There's also a page on the website where you can go and see they have developed where you can also see the simulations running, and at the back end they are exploiting Lumi there. So that's what I can answer best here about, but I have no information if they're using the Lumi G or Lumi C. And the second question that what would be the next step is, because the first we are making sure for now is that every use case has their own digital twinning, and the next is still a challenge that how do we do that. We are not sure if we could be able to do this within the part of this project, and that's why we are moving towards the collaborative digital twinning. That my last slides were also about that how to develop guidelines and requirements, then how to couple those digital twins into one, because that's the next challenge that we have to address. And we as TNO are very interested in working on that, and we are working on making internal tools possible to make sure that we work towards the next step. Yes.
Next question, Michael.
So I just wonder, for the infrastructures running the digital twin simulation or whatever, what do they need to install? So what capability? Is it basically just a software? Or what kind of interfaces and stuff like that are needed on the site? I
think there is a proper tutorial that what you need to run those digital twinning, and maybe I would say there's also a training link on the biodiversity website where you can see all those courses that would be developed for following this and using those digital twin applications.
Does it require a lot of the kind of... Is there any intrusive installations needed on the HPC?
I haven't tested it yet by myself, okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Some more questions? Yes, but I have. Okay. I also want to ask, it's a huge work what has been done, but what is the next steps?
Yeah, the next steps is to also find initiatives, similar initiatives where we can expand our work. So that's also the idea, that we don't reinvent the wheels in the other EU opportunities that are gonna come, but also just take whatever we have and try to make this collaborative digital twin into and start integrating those digital twins which are already ready with their prototype twins, and then to also address the challenges of Destiny Earth initiative, which has to build a full DT of the whole Earth, which could be very complex, which is indeed very complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Some more? Yes, of course.
If no one else. Yes, so about this coupling of digital twins. So if we try to simplify the view, you have this digital twinning platform, which is a collection of tools on the top of an infrastructure at the end. And then you have another digital twin,
yes,
which is installed on another system. So when you say coupling or make them work as one, so
yeah,
are you going to bring all the tools from all of the digital twins to work on one platform, or you are going to interconnect these with?
So it would be a combination of both. So what we want to see is mainly the interconnection between those different data, because what one use case is developing as a DT, and the other use case, they also can help and share the insights with each other. So how you can also interconnect them, but maybe also we would identify there are some components that could be on one platform instead of being reused and taking all the space where everything can just lie in one infrastructure or platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Audience, yes, have one more question. I will pass.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would be very much interested, what are actually the measures, how do you check that the digital twin is behaving like the real twin then in the end, and what are the what are the concepts for that to check the integrity of simulation or the outcome of the...
Yeah, we are still working towards the validation part, but for now what we did is just to also make sure that we are aligning on the vocabularies and terminologies, but also making sure that each use cases that are working also have these, within this project we have this cross collaboration sessions where they share the knowledge with each other to make sure that what they are developing is still one prototype digital twin, but also coming together at the end. So I think the question that you asked is still something that would be towards the end of the project, would be on validation of these simulations and analysis.
And that comes very huge thanks from organizing committee to you, and we are passing to you a special gift that you come in. And you are very welcome and very happy to hear you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.